Hello, welcome to CS and CRE Talk. Event information. So, event is recorded by Mercari. All talks are in English. No recording, screenshot please. And feel free to leave any question anytime. And please share us on Twitter or Slack, Twitter or Facebook. And let's have ice breaking. So let's practice posting a comment on YouTube live chat. So could you please make a comment where you are located right now? City or country, any information is fine. From Japan, thank you. From Australia, nice. South Korea, thank you guys. Hi. Sydney, nice. Yeah. Hi, yeah. Thank you guys. Osaka, yeah, nice. Thank you guys. Okay. So today's this is today's time schedule. So we are having opening talk right now. After opening talk, we will have first lightning talk about trust and safety at Mercari. And second lightning talk is about content moderation. After that, we will have 5 minutes break. And after the break, we will have a third session about our journey to cross-functional team. And the fourth lightning talk is about ML-driven violation detection for TNS moderation. And after all of the lightning talks, we will have a Q&A session. So please feel free to make a comment. And of course, during lightning talk, you can feel free to make a comment. So let me introduce myself. I'm Kenta. I joined Mercari 3 years ago as tech lead, and now I am working as engineering manager at Customer Reliability Engineering Group. I am managing a cross-functional team for machine learning, backend, and front-end. And before Mercari, I worked as a full-stack engineer in the US and Japan for more than 10 years. And also, I am a certified Scrum Master. And here are today's speakers. We have 4 speakers. Okay, let me a little bit talk about Customer Reliability Engineering, CRE. So this is what we consider is reliability. We consider reliability is the inverse of anxiety. At Mercari, we consider reliability is to solve issues specific to C2C market and to maintain the trust and safety of the marketplace. And this is what we do for reliability. We do cybercrime protection. We do development and operation of moderation system. That include item moderation and text moderation. We also do development and operation for help center. We also do development and operation of a customer service platform. Today's topics are mainly focused on moderation systems. And here is the overview of moderation system. So as you guys know, we as a Mercari are developing Mercari Marketplace. And there are lots of services. And independent from Mercari Marketplace, we are developing moderation system. And at first lightning talk, Kiki is going to talk about trust and safety at marketplace. And second lightning talk is about content moderation, item moderation. And third lightning talk is about development team. And fourth lightning talk is text moderation. And team structure. Under CRE group, we have 5 teams. Those 3 teams are the one today's speaker are belonging to. Here are our members. We have an office in Fukuoka and Tokyo. And our mission is to build a trusted marketplace that customers want to stay with. And here are some opening positions for CRE. We have a position for engineering manager and software engineer. Also, we have a position for project manager and product managers. If you are interested in that, please take a look at it. Okay, let's start lightning talk. So first lightning talk is by Kiki. So So he is Kiki. So could you start?
Hello, can you hear me and see me well? Okay, so thank you for joining. Yeah, my talk theme is how do we achieve trust and safety marketplace? Before I introduce what we do from a technical perspective, I will explain uh, what we do from a business perspective. Let me introduce myself. My name is Yuki. Team members call me Kiki. Mercari is my first company. I joined Mercari as an intern in 2016 and joined as a new grad in 2019. I'm currently a product manager and product owner in Mercari Japan TNS domain Scrum team. Yeah, I didn't start out a product manager, but worked as a customer service operator, uh, an analyst, and a technical project manager before changing my job to product manager. And when I was in the university, I majored in computer science. And recently, I've been developing Flutter apps as a hobby. Yeah, so I love both business and technology. And yeah, I'm also a certified product owner. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the explanation. When I introduced myself, I mentioned the word TNS. TNS, yeah. What is the word TNS? It's our keyword. TNS stands for Trust and Safety. Yeah, our team is working to develop a marketplace that our customers can trust and feel comfortable using. One approach, yeah, we are focusing on violation detection, moderation system. Yeah, what is Trust and Safety Marketplace? Before explaining it, and some people may not know about Mercari, so I will explain a little about it. Mercari is a marketplace where you can easily buy and sell items. You can use this service in Japan and in the US. But in our team, yeah, we are mainly working on for Japan services, Japan service. Yeah. You can sell books you have finished reading. You can sell your children's clothes that your children can no longer wear as a grown up. And you can sell bed that you no longer use when you move. If you haven't received items so before, please do it after this event is over. If you don't have anything to sell, try to find something to buy. You may find a nostalgic item that you couldn't afford when you were a kid. When buying an item, you can ask the seller questions if you don't have enough information. After buying an item, the seller and you can communicate with each other about shipping and other matters. So a lot of content is created by customers. There will always be content that customers create, such as items, comments, and messages that we don't expect and that we don't want them to create. If such content is present, customers cannot use the service safely, and they will stop using Mercari because they can't trust us. So we need to monitor such content to prevent it from being created. In other words, this is what it means to create a trust and safety marketplace. And it's not just a matter of monitoring violation content. Look at the numbers regarding Mercari. Although the data is a bit old, a total of 2 billion items have been listed on Mercari. And according to the latest data, 90 million customers are using Mercari in a month. As our business continues to grow, there is more and more content we don't want the customers to create. Unfortunately, I can't disclose specific numbers here. Yeah, I leave it to your imagination. If you want to know, join my team. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that we need to monitor in an efficient way. Many customers create a lot of content, which means we need an efficient way to monitor it. Okay, so next is publishing the markets. Yeah, so what kind of content do we do not want you to create? We detect and delete content that we do not want our customers to create as violations and provide feedback to our customers. What are some of the violations? Here are a few examples. Of course, you cannot sell items that violate the law. Example is cash and medicines. It's not just about obeying the law. There are also rules to protect our customers from trouble. Do not make payments using methods that are not provided by Mercari. And yeah, we also have rules to ensure that our customers can use the market comfortably. Do not make offensive comments and messages to others. And there are also rules to protect the health of our customers. Do not sell food that is close to its expiration date. In Japanese, 賞味期限, 消費期限. Actually, you can sell not only things but also food on Mercari. However, there are few rules, so please be careful when selling. Yeah, in fact, fruits and vegetables are one of the most popular items on Mercari. And they are many inexpensive and delicious fruits and vegetables on sale. If you are interested in it, please check it. These are just examples. There are many other rules. By eliminating the risks of these various type of violations with efficiently monitoring, we are trying to keep our customers using our services. By the way, yeah, not just anything can be treated as a violation. There is a standard stance in determining a violation. We call it the principles. We announced in January of this year. These are three basic stances. First one is safe, and second one is trustworthy, and third one is humane. Based on these principles, we have developed detailed standards. Yes, so far, I've explained what risks are in our market and our stance on tackling those risks. How do we approach facing the various risks and facing content created by many customers? These are two major approaches. One is detection and the other is prevention. In the detection, these are the definitions. in detection, content is monitored by systems and people, and potential violations are reported to operators, and the operator checks the reports items and determine violations and give feedback to our customers. And prevention, content is monitored by systems, and if the violations, immediate feedback given to our customers so they can act. I will use the listening experience as an example to explain what each means from another perspective. The customer fills in the listing information and tap the listing button. The listing is now complete. And the customer waits for someone to purchase the item. In the detection, another process is taking place in parallel. When the listing is complete, the rule-based or ML-based detection system checks the items for possible violations. If there is a potential violation, the item will be hidden from the timeline and search result. The item will then be reported to Modtool, where the operator will make a final decision of moderation. Yeah, this will be explained in detail later. On the other hand, in prevention, provides feedback directly to the customer at the time the customer taps the risk button. Yeah. Okay, so let's explain it in the detail. The first one is detection. Customers create content such as items, comments, and messages. It is impossible for people to check everything. Yeah, actually, we have 2 billion listed items. Yeah, so technology can help with this. In our detection system, there are 5 methods to monitor each content. We use ML-based, to monitor each content. Yeah, internally, we are using 3 methods: rule-based, ML-based, and operator-based. Rule-based and ML-based is the main way. If we can't detect the violations internally, those are reported by the customer and the rights holder. Customer can report a violation easily from the app or web, and rights holder can report a violation from web form. Yeah, especially the rule-based and ML-based is monitoring all items listed by 19 million MAU in Mercari. So those are important systems. The ML-based system for items will be explained by Sugan later. The ML-based for messages will be explained later by Toby. Yeah. And when each system detects possible violation contents, it is reported to a tool used by operators. Yeah, it's a Modtool. Modtool stands for moderation tool. Yeah. The operator checks the reported item, and if it's a violation, they remove the content and give feedback to the customer. The detection is not only the detection is done not only by the system, but also by the operator who makes the final decision. Therefore, it is important to collaborate with the CS team in development process. Yeah, the CS team, operators belongs, consists of many teams, including the operator team handles the reports, and the team that supports detection by tuning monitoring rules. And the team that trains the operators, and the team that manages operator safety and assignments. All of these items are all of these teams are Modtool users. In order to facilitate the promotion of development project, a role called TPM. Stands for Technical Project Manager, has been placed in CS as a counterpart to the CRE team. And this role is responsible for managing projects within the CS and working with the PDM, product manager, me, to define requirements. And this allows for smooth development process. Yeah, next the explanation is Modtool. Yeah, Modtool is being developed in such way. And this module is this module is a new generation tool. I'd like to explain the background of why we decide to develop this tool. Modtool is a new tool, and Modtool is independent from legacy tool. Legacy tool has been in use since the launch of Mercari, and it has become a business platform tool with not only content moderation features, but also inquiry handling features, customer and transaction management features, and many other features. We are constantly adding features, so the code is so huge and complicated. And technology stack is also different from what is currently recommended across the company. This has led to inefficient development, making it difficult to add function to deal with new violations. At Mercari, we are promoting microservice company-wide. Yeah, so it is more efficient to develop on a platform that is recommended by the company and has good internal support. In order to create a trust and safety market and to be able to flexibly respond to operational changes, we decided that it would be better to cut it out as an independent tool and develop it from scratch. This was developed by multiple cross-functional teams. This story will be explained later by Jason. Yeah, so next is prevention. Actually, the mod tool is not complete. We will continue to migrate features from the legacy tool to mod tool. In addition to renovating, redesigning the detection foundation, yeah, we try to focus on prevention. We have a lot of detection data that have accumulated since the launch of Mercari. Using this data, we give feedback to customers when they are about to cause a violation. As you know, the difference between detection and prevention is the timing of feedback. For example, let's take listening experience as an example. This is a time lag between systematic detection and monitoring by operator. So the customer is waiting for the item to be purchased, and a few minutes or tens of minutes later, they receive item deletion notice. It is not a good experience. In prevention, feedback is given immediately after action. This allows customers to immediately improve their behavior. They can immediately understand which items cannot be listed, and if they lack the necessary information to list the item, they can fill it and complete the listing. This disappointing experience can be minimized. Not only does this improve the customer experience, but it is also cost-effective. CS can reduce detection resources because the violation event is handled without human resource. Here, review the pros and cons of each violation. As for detection, it is highly accurate in determining violations because it is checked by human eyes. On the other hand, the more times that need to be checked, the more cost will increase. Also, considering the customer's experience, if they are waiting for time to be solved, and they will have a better experience receiving notice. So while waiting for sale, another hassle is created. As for prevention, you can find out if the item cannot be listed or if you need to add information to it when you list it. And we think this is a good experience because you can get feedback during the listing process. On the other hand, in order to realize this good experience, it is necessary to have a synchronized process to quickly determine the feedback content and have high accuracy. Rather than choosing one of these approaches, I think a balance is important. The balance of detection and prevention. We will continue to test which approach is more effective for each violation topic. Yeah. So, and next, yeah, this is a new and challenging approach to creating safety marketplace that is different from prevention and detection. We are also planning to improve communication to customers. If you are in charge of TNS area, you may understand fighting violations is a lot without a goal. But from customers' point of view, our efforts are very difficult to understand. As I explained earlier, we are continuously working to detect and address violations. Of course, we understand that it's not enough, so we are working to continue to improve. Safety, I think, yeah, safety is something you feel only when you look back, and accumulation of safety is in mind. Accumulation of safety in mind leads to trust. However, there are some customers who are motivated to use the service by the feeling of safety every time. For this reason, we are considering improving our communication. Yeah, for example, we are proactively providing information about the items. You can see the message in some cases when there is an imbalance between supply and demand for the item, the price of the item goes up. This supply is including not only in Mercari but also outside of Mercari. If we can tell our customers that if we can tell our customers that there is enough stock in the store, they will not have to pay a high price for item on Mercari. This is something we are working on not only within Mercari but also with primary distribution players such as major fashion manufacturers. Yeah, I introduced three approaches: the prevention and the detection, and our communication improvement stuff. Yeah. How do you feel? Do you remember the keyword? It's not easy to create a trust and safety marketplace, but it's challenging and fun. We have many problems to solve. In our team, we are developing a variety of systems in one Scrum team, such as front end, back end, ML, etc. Yeah, thank you for listening. If you are interested in this domain, yeah, in our team, yeah, please contact me. Uh, Welcome. Yeah, that's it from me.
Okay, thank you, Kiki-san. So, yeah, thanks. And let me move to next speaker. Hi, Sugan. So, okay, it's now your turn. You can start it.
Thank you, Benson. Hello everyone, I'm Sugan. I'll be talking about content moderation using machine learning. Um, so I joined Mercari in 2018 October as a new graduate. I graduated from India and I moved to Japan for my first job. And right now I'm working as the tech lead in TNS team, which is one of the teams in the uh, CRE division. So here's the agenda for today. I'll just give an overview of content moderation in Mercari. Then I'll go into what we do for moderation of items. And next I'll talk a little bit about ML-based moderation. And finally I'll go on to the architecture of our system. I will not be covering any specifics of the ML models that we use over here or the kind of data we use or the kind of features we use for the models over here because those are kind of private information for the company. Yeah, let me start with content moderation. So, yeah, like it was also explained earlier by Kentan-san and Kiki-san. So we have CRE, which is our division, and we aim to reduce the customer anxiety with the marketplace by providing different features. And one of the parts of CRE is TNS, which is trust and safety, and we want to provide a safe marketplace for our customers. And one part of TNS is content moderation, where we want to moderate items, especially items which are violating our policies or maybe the laws which are set by the government. So here's why we need to do content moderation. So there are more than 2 billion items which are listed, and there are more than 10 million monthly active users we have. So we can't really manually check all those items, and we don't really um, we can't really wait for those items to be detected by our users because that's going to affect our users experience. So we have to proactively detect those violation items using technology. Next is moderation of items. So this is the overview of our system. So The users of our platform can list items or edit items, and once they do this, there is a client-side rule-based logic which checks those items, and it can allow or block or just warn the user about potential violations. And once the listing is done, we want to check again with some extra rule-based system, and also we have the ML system over here. And depending on the outcome of these systems, either the item gets automatically blocked or it goes to the customer support team for further review. Um, mm, Rule-based moderation is also a major part of our content moderation system. So I would like to give an overview of that over here. So the advantages of the rule-based moderation is it's very easy to add or modify rules, because it's just kind of like hard-coded logic, and the performance of these rules in detecting such violation items is reproducible easily, and the precision is also quite high. So there would be much fewer false positives when these rules are used to detect those items. And false positives are also bad for the experience of users because, for example, if they are actually trying to list a valid item and we end up blocking that, it's not good for the user's experience, and it's also not good for our company. And the rule-based logic could be very simple. Um, I'm just giving very simple examples over here. These are not what we use in practice, but something like if the item's description just blatantly says that it is a gun, it means it is a gun. So we can just simply search for search with regular expressions. Or for example, if the items are overpriced, we could just compare the item's price with the item's category to see if um, it's normal or it's just overpriced. Next is ML-based moderation. So the advantages of ML-based moderation is we can detect violations which are novel, especially the ones which could not be covered by rules because the rules need to be framed by us, whereas the ML models can learn from data. And also we can detect those kinds of items based on the item images. Um, So even if the users give valid descriptions or like try to get around the system, um, there are also the images which we can use to check. And rule-based logic for images is going to be more difficult than ML-based models. And one thing we always follow is to check whether the ML system is actually detecting items which are not detected by the rule-based system, because otherwise it's not going to add value. Um, and ML systems are generally more expensive than rule-based systems because we need to train the models and we need to collect data set for that, and the amount of resources required for actually using the models in production environment is also much higher than a rule-based system. So if the system is bad, then it's actually worse than a rule-based system. And another important thing for ML-based moderation is to have a proper data ETL system, because we want to be able to annotate more data so that we can keep improving our models. And also, of course, we need a large amount of data, and we also need to have a feedback loop to keep improving the quality of our data so that we can use um, the the past data and the new data to generate better models in the future. So this is how we have the feedback loop at Mercari for content moderation. So here we have the customer who sells items, and there are also other customers who report some items from other customers. And within our company, we have the moderation service, which is the rule-based and machine learning-based system. Yeah, all three of these together hide those items and alert them to moderators who are our CS team, and they review those items and label them. So there could be false positives, and those go into our negative data set, and there would be true positives, which are the actual violation items. So these are going to be used as our positive data set. Um, One thing to note here is that if we did not have the report items from customers, then the only data which the machine learning models would be using are the rule based and the machine learning models predictions. Um, so this means that the data set is never actually improving in quality, because we just keep training with whatever it detected already. Um, and also, we want to provide better experience for the customers, which means we want to try to reduce the number of items which the customers end up detecting. Um, so getting those data into our models training is also important, so that it can try to understand better about what it could not predict earlier. And yeah, next is ML-based moderation that we have. So like I said, I would not be able to go into the specifics of the models. So I'll just explain in brief. So we have more than 20 models for different topics. So the topics are like the different kinds of violations that are possible, like weapons or drugs or counterfeit goods. And the motivation behind having multiple models instead of one single model which can detect all kinds of violations is it's easier to retrain and deploy those models independently. Um, so the topics are kind of defined as our policies, and those policies are subject to change, and we need to be able to quickly retrain and update our models so that the performance doesn't drop. But if we have just one model for all the topics together, it kind of couples all those topics tightly, and the performance is not good enough, and it's also not easy to update them in the future. And also, we have several topics, but the distribution of data is not balanced. So if we have like just one single model, maybe one of those topics has a lot of data and the other topic doesn't have much data. So the model will start getting a little bit weak in detecting the other topics properly. And one versus all models were handling the class imbalance better in our case. So yeah, we have conducted several experiments for these, and this is our conclusion. So that's why we use the one versus all models. And one possible downside could be that we have several models, so it's easier to deploy them independently, but it's not so easy to maintain them, because every time we want to update a model, or if we want to update some library, we would have to make lots of changes and lots of releases. But this is something we have been able to handle fairly well using a lot of abstracted code and having pipeline properly established pipelines for the model training, and we have been able to maintain them pretty easily. And to give an overview, we get millions of requests to these models in production, and like I said in my earlier slide, if the models are not performing well enough, they're basically going to be handling millions of requests without good enough performance. So that's going to be expensive, and that's why we have proper evaluation metrics which are checked and validated before we can actually release those models into production environment. And we use a lot of tree-based and deep learning models, but I cannot go into more detail. For the deep learning models, we use PyTorch mainly, but that's just in my team. There is also TensorFlow, which is being used by other teams in our company. And for the tree-based models, we use LightGBM, and we use Optuna for tuning hyperparameters. And in case you guys have heard of Kubeflow, it's an open source machine learning training platform, which was initially developed by Google. So we use Kubeflow for model training and also the offline evaluation, which is the evaluation which is done before releasing those models. And um, so this is a part of our um, training pipeline, and we create our like what is called KFP or Kubeflow pipeline in Kubeflow. Um, we create those using components, and those components are responsible for like, fetching data set from different data sources within our company, and for training the models, and also for evaluating them offline. And yeah, since we have been able to create such pipelines, it's been easy for us to maintain more than 20 models without much extra work. And, we use the same pipeline for the experiments that we do over here, and also for training the models which we are going to release to production. So this ensures that we do not have any inconsistencies or like abnormal drifts in our performance during the evaluation which is done offline, and the evaluation which is done after releasing the model. Um, so this is something I guess which is also a standard follow. I would recommend using same pipeline for the experiments and the model training for production. And the evaluation metric that we use for all these models is the precision at k, where k is the number of alerts which can be sent from the model to the moderators. So the reason why we decided to use precision at k is we want to have a trade-off between the precision and the recall. Um, so if, for example, we just alert all the items to the moderators, then of course the model would have 100% recall, because it would be able to cover all the violation items. And at the same time, if we do not alert any model items, or maybe if we just alert just one or two items, there is a very high chance that the precision is 100%, but the recall is almost zero. So we want to have a trade-off between these two, and the number k is decided based on various factors, like the actual amount of um, violation item in a particular topic, the number of resources available for in the moderation in the CS team for handling those items, and based on the performance of our models. Next, I'll move on to the architecture of our overall service. So it starts with the seller who can list an item, and there is a gateway which is the gateway for the entire Mercari's services. And there is a service which handles new like all the listing related logic. And from there on, we have two flows. One is the RPC flow, which is going to the rule based system, and the other one is the pub sub based flow. The RPC flow is used for prevention, as Kiki-san was mentioning in his talk, and the pub sub based flow is the one which is used for the detection, which was also mentioned by Kiki-san. Um, so right now we just have RPC flow for rule-based system, and these are this system has the whole set of rules which we use for detecting those items, but only some of those rules are used for the RPC based flow, and the other rules are going to be used for the PubSub based flow. And yeah, basically the rule-based system and the ML system subscribe to events from which are published by the listing service, and they do the validation or the model's prediction, and they publish their responses back to PubSub again. And there is a worker which subscribes to those events published by the rule-based and ML system, and this worker reports all those items to the Modtool, which is the tool used by the CS team. And next, this is specific to the ML system, the architecture that we have. Um, so the message queue part is similar to my previous slide, but after we pick up the messages from PubSub, within the ML system, we have a proxy and we have several models, one for each topic. And so each model is running as a separate deployment because we want them to be independent of each other. So you could consider them something like one microservice for one model. And the role of proxy is basically to have some kind of logic for maybe like if there are other services which have some data which is required as the features for the models, we want proxy to handle such common logic. And also maybe there is a chance that multiple models detect the same item, because there could be some item details which are like kind of um, which are in line with both topics. So proxy has the responsibility for aggregating all those results and publishing them back to the message queue. And the model training part, so we have Circle CI, which is used for submitting the training jobs. So we just write code which is in configurations and scripts, and based on some hooks, Circle CI submits the um, training job to Kubeflow. And at the end of the Kubeflow pipeline, we have the offline evaluation, which is done. And once the offline evaluation is done, the results are uploaded to GCS along with the model. And once we figure out that the evaluation results are good, we can go ahead and release. And release is just basically like creating Docker images from the models which are stored in GCS, and they're just deployed into the production environment. And as you can see in the production environments block over here with the proxy and the inference deployments, we have TreeLite, which is used for the tree-based models, and we use Onyx runtime for um, the PyTorch or deep learning-based models. Um, so in case you are not aware of this, TreeLite is um, a library which is provided by DMLC, which is the organization that maintains XGBoost. Non-X runtime is provided by Microsoft, but both are um, open source, I think. And yeah, I want to share one kind of like case study which helped us like resolve some issues we were facing in our model, in our service. And this is just to show that ML services are not just about ML, but we also have to do kind of system architecture tasks. Um, so the issue we were having is when there was some downtime from one model, it was affecting the other models because we have PubSub, which is like asynchronous communication, and the proxy to model communication is synchronous. So all when one model was down, it was basically taking down all the models or majority of the models. And the approach that we used finally to handle this is to have a separate queue um, to kind of hold on to those messages that could not be handled properly. And yeah, I have published a tech blog about this one, where I compared several approaches like caching or having separate message queues or having like in some kind of internal message queue for communication between proxy and models and so on. If you're interested, please feel free to check that. I'll also send it as a comment. Yeah, and that's it from me for today. Thank you for joining. Feel free to follow me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Thank you, Sugan. Okay, it's time to take a break. So it's kind of early for the schedule. But yeah, let's take 5 minutes break. So we will start second half session at 7:55 in JST. So please go back here 5 minutes later. Okay, 7:55. So let's start second half session. So let me introduce third lightning speaker. Oh yeah. So Jason, yeah, he is a third lightning speaker. So yeah, could you start, Jason?
Okay, so welcome back. So hope you enjoyed the first session. So my topic today is our journey to cross-functional team. So I'm Jason. I joined Mercury in 2018, and I'm a software engineer in CS2 team under CRE group. So I guess not everyone here is coming from an engineering background. So maybe I should explain a little bit what is cross-functional team. So imagine that's a local restaurant and that's a chain restaurant. Local restaurant is like, is hosted by a family and then is really small restaurant. So you can imagine like there are 4 tables, 12 customers, while in a chain restaurant, then you can get a huge floor with like 50 tables and 300 customers. So they are obviously different, but there is something in common is that there are some roles that are important for both local restaurant and a chain restaurant. So imagine you need a chef, you may need a barista, you may need a waiter as well. So even though a small restaurant, even a small restaurant needs all kind of roles that are needed to serve a restaurant, to serve the customers. So in engineering world, you can imagine you can have different teams, but in each team, you have different roles. So you can have product manager, you can have designer, and then you can also have engineers. And let's say team 1 is handling a larger project, then maybe you need 4 engineers and 2 designers because you have development for Android app and iOS app as well. So depending on the project, you may have different lineup, different formation of your team. So this is how we call a cross-functional team, that all the experts can work together so that to produce the best product for the team. So before I really go into my journey to cross-functional team, so maybe I should explain my product as well. So we have a legacy CS2. So if you, Kiki-san also mentioned about that before. We have an all-in-one tool, which is really old, which do everything. So if you can just take a look in the screenshot on the right, you can do like inquiry handling, item moderation, transaction monitoring, ACL, whatever you want. So our main stakeholder is customer support. And this is a new tool because the old tool is kind of is huge, but at the same time, it's not really flexible enough for different kinds of operations. So that's why we plan to develop a moderation tool. So you can check the screenshot on the right. Let's say someone is selling drug, then in this internal tool, you can see all the details of the items, and then you can also check like which part is violating our rules, our principle, and then CS customer support can work on can do like access control or hide the item. So all the possible operation they can do in this tool. And also one more about the monitoring rules, which I think the previous session about ML moderation, we talked about something similar. For rules that is based on some, let's say, keywords, then basically we can manage all these rules using moderation tools. And if you can see the screenshot, it's like on and off, then you can enable, disable the rules. So it's like a real-time monitoring of our marketplace. And we're using GraphQL. Moderation tool is written in React, and we connect to our GraphQL service using Apollo. And we can get data from different microservices, and of course, moderation microservices via GraphQL using a schema. So this is briefly like what my team is working on. And let's get back to the topic, our journey to cross-functional team. I decided to put a double quote around the cross-functional team because I believe that we are not doing, we're not really a real model so that people can follow, but more like a story that I can explain like what's happened, what kind of blockers and issues in the group, and how we tackle all the issues, so that we can become more like a cross-functional team. So one thing that I have to explain before I go into our journey is that this is the functional team structure we have before when Mercari is really small. Basically, we have backend team, front-end team, and we have product management team. And then we have so many projects. So each project will get someone assigned. So let's say for project 1, we have 3 backend engineers, 1 front-end engineer, and also 1 product manager. And then project 3 is larger, so you need 4 engineers for backend. So this is a very typical lineup, and when Mercari was small, like a few years ago. And the company became bigger, larger and larger. So we have so many projects on hand, and the original structure become more like a task-based assignment, which is, you can imagine, in a week that we work on, a person can work on 3 different projects, just based on priority, and then this is more urgent, so that we just do that first, and then we switch to another project. So you can imagine there'll be a lot of context switching. And also, one biggest issue in the lineup in this structure is that when you have 3 different product managers, and they all claim that their work is the most important and is most urgent. So how can we decide the priority and the schedule of each task? So let's say for my team, we're developing moderation tools. So we have backend and frontend. So when we work on that, then we have to ask front-end team, can you do this task? It's part of the project. Maybe we have 5 front-end tasks. So, and then we have to ask them one by one. It's like, so can you work on this one? This is the most urgent. But this task has to be prioritized with other projects as well. So having a lot of issues with priority and also scheduling, so that we are very uncertain about the delivery date. And that's why, after long discussion with the team, we decided to take the challenge to transform the team into a cross-functional team. This is our expectation. So it's like a fantasy that a cross-functional team can solve all the problems. So at least in the team, then we can have shared goals. So let's say we want to develop moderation tools. So this is our common goals, and we can prioritize all the tasks related to moderation tools, while we can ignore the other projects at the same time. So this is very like an ideal case. Back to collaboration. So I guess if you have front-end engineer, back-end engineer, QA, product manager, CS representative, everything in your team, then collaboration and communication will be smooth. And that's why we expect that this is a very huge merit for transforming a team into a cross-functional team. And the last point is the faster time to market. I guess it's internal tool, so it's hard to say whether we need that, but I think as an engineer, we always want to push the latest features to our customers. We see customer support as our customers. So we're pushing new features so that we can support their operations to save their cost, to get better results for customer support. So that's why with a cross-functional team, we deliver faster, which means we can deliver more new features and function to our customers. So this is our expectation, but we see a lot of blockers. There are two main blockers. One is our front-end development skills and also project management. So I try to explain one by one. The first one is about front-end development. Our team is transforming from back-end to front-end. What does it mean? The current CS2 team member are coming from the backend team. So it's an original team structure, and then we just group of people who are dedicated to work on project and tasks for customer support related. So that's why our members are all coming from backend. And we have another external factors that completely ruined our expectation related to cross-functional team, which is there was a lack of engineer for front end. So it's really hard to find a dedicated person to join our team at that time. So we are kind of frustrated because we lack of resources, and then but we have to deliver moderation tool to customer support as soon as possible. And that's why what we have to do is we decided to put one person, a dedicated engineer, to focus on front-end development. So of course he's a back-end engineer, but so starting from this quarter, then he'll just work on front-end so that he can master the skill set of front-end development. And that was me. So I was like, I was actually interested in front-end engineering as well. So that's why I was the one who moved away from back-end development at the time, and then try to focus on learning and development with the front-end development. And then once I understand the difficulties for new joiners, and then we can label the task with the low-hanging fruit attack, which is like for newcomers, for newbies, so that artists can start with a clear entry point, and then people can start learning while they're working on tasks, the simple tasks. I also created study sections. I prepared a knowledge base with different tasks for beginners. For example, there's a screenshot on the right. I teach them how to create a table view, how to do something, whatever, how to do A, how to B, and then I present new skills in the study sections. Just for the information, this is not because of front-end development, but our team is always learning. So we just finished our 100th study sections in the last Friday, and we keep learning. But the original topic of backend development, and then now we move it into backend and frontend. So with the study sections, our team members can get used to front-end development, and then with simple tasks, they can really get on board with, starting from a simple front-end development task, and then all the way to getting new feature done with only one person. So this is the first one. And then the second blockers that we face is about product owner. This is a backend team structure before it transforms into a cross-functional team. So there will be 3 projects, and then there is a PM for each project, and then they'll talk to the tech lead of the team. So I was a tech lead at the time, so I was handling all the requests from different PMs at that time. One of the issue is that we have priority problem because as a tech lead, I'm more on the technical side. So I don't really know like which one is more important to the stakeholders. So I have to talk to each project manager to understand so which one is more important, and you have to gather some more figures so that I can decide like which one should be done first. Another problem is that there's indirect communication. So PM we talk to customer support from time to time, but for the real specifications, the real operations, they may have different knowledge. So are we different projects may have changed the same part of it, the same component of customer support. So are they influencing each other? So then we have to clarify this with the stakeholder at the same time. So at the end, we have to talk to PM and stakeholder at the same time, which is not smooth communication. Unfortunately, we urged for a PO, and that PO was a CS member. So he was in charge of the CS operation and improvement, so that he knows the operations and the details of the CS operation in our customer support center. So PM will directly talk to him instead of talking to an engineer, because we talk to the PO with CS background. He is an expert of representing our customers, representing the operation of customer support. And he's within a team, so he will decide what is the priority of each task, and to see whether there'll be some influences between. There's some like whether we can make the changes for project 1 while it will not affect project 2 and 3. So these kind of experts can help us really tidy up the task and also create a clear specification for moderation tools so that we can focus on our work. So if these 2 main blockers being resolved, this is our output. Moderation tool is released almost a year ago, and basically has all the we have the full features as described in our specification. And this was hard because we were still backend engineer at that time, and then we developed moderation tool when we are transforming our team into a more cross-functional way. So this is kind of hard, but using the same approach, after we release moderation tool, we successfully release authorization tools, which is a access control application for customer support, because each group in customer support departments will have different permissions to access certain data. So that's why there's authorization tools. This is completely done by our team, starting from specification all the way to development and also maintenance. Everything is done by my team. So I think this is a very good result. I'm not sure if this is the best way, the best cross-functional team, but this is a story that I think is really challenging, and I think we learn a lot during the journey. So last but not least, so we're hiring. So if you're interested, take a look on the openings of Mercari. If you enjoy like working with such products and also with the kind of person who really jump out of his comfort zone and try something new, that maybe this is a good chance. I guess we love working with new people as well. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed today. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, so now let's move on to the last speaker, Toby.
Hello, everyone. I'm Toby. Okay, let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Toby. I'm from Taiwan. I finished my graduate school at National Tsinghua University, and I joined Mercari in 2018 with Sugan. And I'm working as a machine learning engineer at AI CRE team. We are trying to solve CRE issues with AI technologies. And today I'm going to present ML-driven violation detection for trust and safety moderation. Let's give some background of text moderation for TNS. Why do we need this? So Mercari is a C2C marketplace, and C2C marketplace is not like e-commerce where everything is just one click away from to do everything. We need to communicate with buyer or seller to finish our transaction. And this is where TNS division comes in customer service department. We try to ensure that every transaction happened on Mercari are trustworthy and safe. Let's look into this case, for example. The seller says, sorry, the price is really too low. Is it possible for us to, the buyer found what the seller is suggesting. So they are trying to finish the deal at Twitter and ditch the transaction fee from Mercari. And then the seller says, exactly, if it's okay, please follow my Twitter at Toby Minion. And then the buyer replies, okay, got it. So we are trying to find out this sort of conversations on our platforms to prevent such things happening from our Mercari service. So one intuitive approach would be regular expression. So for example, we filter those texts with Twitter. And then, for example, here we found that to finish the deal at Twitter, which hits our keyword, and then our customer agents will label that as external induction and then escalate that to customer support center for further handling. And why would why would us doing something like this? Let's have an example. Many people ask me, like, being as a machine learning engineer in Mercari, what's my daily job like? So my daily job starts with searching minion goods on Mercari. This is something legitimate for me to do as an employee of Mercari. So for example, I was trying to buy this firefighter minion. And then as soon as I click the buying button, I'm actually making a deposit to Mercari. And then the seller would receive a notification to send me the item. And then we will finish the whole transaction process. As soon as I received the item, then I give him a rate or her a rating, and then the money will be transferred to seller's hand. So this flow is kind of good. It's safe and trustworthy. And even with the delivery methods like Daku Mercari or UU Mercari, you can even refund or return the item with the delivery service. But if something happened, like that's close the deal at Twitter, that's drop the transaction here, that's cancel it. In this case, there's no way Mercari can ensure the safety of your transaction. We have no way to stop the transaction or to ensure everyone's safety here. And that's why we have to inspect these incidents and prevent it at our best from happening. Okay, so what's the problem behind this? Is that the rule-based monitoring, it comes with low accuracy. So we can only spot only few positive escalations over hundreds of messages checking by CS agents. This is very human intensive, and also it's costly. And our project goal here is first to ensure the trust and safety of Mercari, and the second to reduce workload of customer agents. So we are proposing here a system with language models to learn from previous escalated cases, to report potentially policy violated online cases to moderators for further human judgments. So this is the whole diagram of our system will be like. And we are focusing on the machine learning part and the human judge here. Notice that we are also having a human in the loop diagram here by having moderators checked each reports. We are actually also collecting data source for future improvements. Okay. Another thing that worth notice is that Sugan has just introduced the item moderation. And this is two moderation approaches that we have in parallel in Mercari. So item moderation, its target domain and inputs are in item listing. So it's an item-based moderation. While in text moderation, we are focusing on user-generated texts. So the inputs of two systems are totally different. Okay. And next is that according to our diagram, we are still keeping both rule-based monitoring and ML-driven approaches in parallel. Why do we do this? So with the ML-driven approach, we are actually hosting a bunch of submodels of binary classifier for various violation domains. However, violation domains vary and evolve over time. For example, last year during COVID-19, the Japanese authority state that trading masks online have been prohibited, so that as a part of the TNS scope, we are inspecting items that are trading with mask. So by having rule-based monitoring, it offers us a higher flexibility comparing to ML-driven approaches, where we need a label data set to start the inspection by machine learning models. Okay, so for violation domains, here we have three big categories. The first is that external induction that we just came across. So in this domain, if they are trying to induce users to finish transactions on other platforms outside of Mercari, that will be attributed to this domain. We also don't want users to transfund or make payments outside of Mercari. And for ratings, there are cases where people force the buyers to make payments or to give ratings before they actually receive items. This is also not allowed in Mercari. And the third is that there are some strange requests, like for second-used clothing and items. Some buyer would ask seller to wear it before shipment. This is also like moral issues, and there are cases where people, they don't really own the item. They order from other platforms, and then they ship it to seller to buyers after receiving the request. This is also not allowed. And other cases like disallowed items, quarrels, and curses. Okay, so given a rough picture of how we arrange the system, let's see how the ML models work. Okay, so again, what's the rule-based monitoring's problem? First is that the low precision by rule-based patterns. The second is that previous conversation or the context itself is not considered in rule-based monitoring. The third is that even for human, it's hard to understand the intentions behind the conversation. Let's see the case here. Why rule-based patterns having a low precision issue. We are having the keyword setting here. We are trying to fetch keywords with Twitter, but we're trying to exclude words like introduce and blog. So the first case is that we have just seen just now. So if we have the deal on Twitter, we may not have to pay for Mercari's transaction fee. So of course, this matches the rules and it needs to be reported. Another case is that thanks for your purchase. Feel free to follow my Twitter blog. So in Japanese, the way if you write this, it simply says that you are taking Twitter as your blog. So you are not doing it for other purpose, like transaction. So in this case, if you exclude this word, even though it has Twitter as occurrences, it doesn't match the rules, and it doesn't need to be reported. So this kind of cases, they are regarded as true positive, and they are the target, but they only account for 5% of daily monitoring by rules. Whereas the case 3 and 4, case 3 is the majority that feel free to follow my Twitter, but it's not the case where it should be reported, because it's not violating any regulation that we have. And the last case, it's trying to escape Twitter, the word Twitter, by adding dash to each character. So by doing this, you can dodge from pattern scanning. It doesn't match the rule, but it is supposed to be reported. So this kind of case will be missing from our scanning approach, and it is regarded as false positive case. So our first version of TM-Mod is that we're trying to figure out the word alignment and context issue. So for example, there are various ways to write Twitter. Like you can write it in katakana, or you can add dash, or you can write it in alphabet. But in the first case, you can see here that we are extracting the word tsuita to blue box here, and then Mercari to the yellow, we denote the transaction fee 手数料 as in red and the verb here as in purple. And then by knowing this, we can find out that even though we are adding dash to theta, it still would be denoted as blue feature, so that the model can learn from this kind of pattern to know that these are usually cases where it should be reported to moderator. And in other cases, even though they are Twitter, they are concurrencing words like blog or follow or like purchase. If these words are found, they are usually not the case where it should be reported to moderators. So in this way, by the nature of recognizing and extraction of features, we can find the closeness of positive cases and negative cases, so that by using a machine learning approach, we can increase the accuracy of escalation. Yeah, and followed by the next problem is that the context itself or the previous conversation, they are ignored. For example, the case here, there's one text saying that exactly, if it's okay, please follow my Twitter at Toby Minion. And this is the case that we just went through, and we regard it as true positive. There's another conversation with exactly the same text here, but it says, "Thanks for your purchase. Shall we exchange our SNS contacts?" And but the buyer said to follow you on Twitter, and the seller replied, "Exactly. If it's free, please follow my Twitter at Toby Minion." So the seller is not guiding the buyer to another external service. They are simply exchanging their SNS account. So this is allowed in Mercari, and but in the old pattern approach, it will still be scanned and escalated, and it is accounted for 95% of the scanning. So we regard this as true negative cases. How should we improve our model? So the approach that we took is that we are trying to take dialogues or multi-round conversation as inputs. So by doing this, we are not just using the feature that we extracted. We are using an RNN-based approach to tackle with this. So by RNN approach, it simply says that for each round of conversation, we extract a global feature at global layer, and then we make prediction from this, saying that should it be reported, should we send alert, and then in this pattern, it is learned as no. But later, as the conversation goes on, at the second round, it occurs the keyword here, transaction fee. So for transaction fee, do you want to continue this on Twitter? So by extracting this, we found the feature here at the buyer feature, red, green, yellow, and purple. Again, this is regarded as highly potential or highly risky pattern. And then in this case, we are learning it at the global layer, and the model will regard this as is violating our policy and should be reported. And even with the conversation goes on, like yeah, if it's okay, please follow me. Even with the same input, but this time considering the previous conversation, the model understands that given this context, it should be reported again, because it's actually inducing the buyer to finish the transaction outside of Mercari. And then the last round, it tends to be a normal ending. and then the model doesn't send an alert again. So by doing this, we are able to capture the context and the intention behind words, considering a whole dialogue. Okay. After having this model online, we received some feedback from CS agents. So they said that they really want that some cases could be excluded from alerts. Cases like users exchanging their SNS for troubleshooting or for sharing hobbies. And they hope that the model can ignore these cases. So again, the text itself doesn't really give the whole picture of what's the intention behind this sentence. And so we attempt to introduce new features to the model. For example, we introduce that the who's writing this message. It's written by either by seller or by the buyer. And the second is the transaction status. Where are we right now in this transaction? So let's see a full example here. It's the same case, but we know that it's pending for payment. So the payment hasn't been done yet. In this case, it will be highly risky. They are exchanging SNS before the payment, which means there's a tendency that the seller is trying to induce the buyer to an external platform. And the right case, we have the OK case here, and it's waiting for rating. So in this state, under the status, the payment has been made. There's no intention for the seller to finish the transaction outside of our platform. So it's a identical message, but in a different context could affect the prediction results. And by introducing new features, we are able to improve the model to a better place where they can recognize the intention behind the words. Okay, so let's see our project outcomes here. So unfortunately, I can't disclose the numbers here, but the blue line is the ext domain's precision, and the green line is the rule-based approach for ext domain. And you can see that the ML-driven approach receive a higher precision result comparing to rule-based approach. And we are taking one time point here as an example. So because it's only precision, we are not considering the accuracy here. But at this point, rule pattern reported twice the amount of ML reported alert, but with merely 1/5 accuracy of ML-driven approach. So that you can see that we actually reduced the workload of CS agents by introducing ML-driven approach. And the alerts that ML approach reported are really highly risky. Okay, so let's move on to our future work. So in the future, by reducing the human resources of CS agents, we are hoping that we can reallocate these agents to resolve conflicts between customers even before that the conflicts happened. By doing this, we want to achieve a higher level of customer satisfaction. Every time, as long as there are some potential conflicts that may happen, customer support can always come in at the right time, right place to tackle down your conflicts. And Also, given the nature of our system deployment, it's easy to expand a new domain by adding a new submodel. Yep. So this is my presentation, and if you are interested in design patterns that we are using for ML system, there's a open source microservice system design document by Mercari. You can search that. And for the details of models, you can also search model articles on Mercari's tech blog. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Toby. So now all of the lightning talk were covered, and let's move on to Q&A time. So far many questions are on YouTube live chat, but so if you have any further question, we would like to happy to accept it. So while waiting for another question, I would like to answer some of the questions that is received at application form. So let me share one of the question. So far, my understanding is microservice is mainly implemented in server end. If we want to introduce microservice in our client end, like iOS application, how we can start? And this is a question. And our answer to that, so there is a technology that is called microservice front end. So running with that keyword should be a good starting point. I am seeing the comment, yeah, but looks like there is no further questions. So in that case, yeah, please take a moment to answer the survey. Survey link, so, oh yeah, thanks. There is one question. How did you evaluate the recall of the rule-based ML-based method? Sugan, could you answer something?
I think this one is for Toby. There's a comment before that which says for Toby.
Okay, maybe, Toby might be, nice. So Toby, could you answer?
Yeah, so we are evaluating the recall on offline basis, and we are running through regular expression and ML predictions at the same time to evaluate their recall. And we are also looking at F1 score to leverage between recall and precision. I hope this answers your question, Ricky.
Yeah. Thank you, Toby, and hope that answer to question. We still have a time, so If there is any other question, we are happy to answer.
So we received some questions in advance, so we touch all things.
Okay, thank you for all of the speakers and also for all of the audience. And again, here is our opening positions. We have an opening position for engineering manager and software engineer, product manager, and project manager. If you are interested in that, please take a look at it. So this is a QR code. If you use your smartphone, probably some browser will directly open the link. So, okay, let's wrap up the event. Thank you guys for joining this event. Okay, have a good evening or have a good night. See you.
See you.
See you.